Tracy here with BibleJournalingMinistries.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make one of these cute little books to hold all of your art journals. So you can just put as many art journals as you want to. The possibilities are endless in this little book that we are creating today. So if you're ready, let's go ahead and get started. You will need your hardback book cover, the cover of your hardback book. Now, I have another video where I remove the inside, so if you want to see how to remove the inside and still keep the cover intact, go ahead and see that video. I will link up for you or put this in a playlist for you so that you can easily access it. You also need some chipboard, so I have some chipboard here. You're going to need some duct tape, some clear gel, tacky glue, or any tacky glue will work fine. Elmer's glue will probably work as well. Maybe not so much hot glue, so one of these liquid glues I think would be best. Some scissors, a ruler, a pen to do markings. You're going to need your crocodile if you have one. If not, an eyelet setter will work great. You're going to need about anywhere between 4 to 6 eyelets, depending on if you're going to use eyelets to keep it closed. You're going to need some bookends if you want to save the corners of your book. You see my book is all kind of ratty. So I'll be using those with mine. And you're going to need some cording. So this is round cording elastic. I get it from Hobby Lobby when it's 50% off. So it makes these about $1 each, and one of these will last you a long time. You're going to need your journals, your art journals, the ones that you're planning on putting in if you've made them. If not, then you can do this ahead of time and then just make the art journals smaller. That's totally okay. Just up to you. And of course the chipboard. So you'll need a trimmer as well. So I have the trimmer. So the first thing you want to do is figure out how wide of a piece of chipboard you need. And so to do that, you need to know how big this spine is. And I recommend measuring your spine this way. So you can see here that I have about, actually if I do it in centimeters, it might be better. So this is 1.5 centimeters. So I'm going to make this chipboard 1.5 centimeters. I'm actually going to make it a little bit smaller than 1.5 centimeters. So I'll probably make it like 1.25 centimeters. And the reason why I'm just going to make it slightly smaller is because if you make it exactly the right width, then sometimes it kind of folds in the wrong place, I guess I want to say. So you can make it the exact width. I just prefer to make it just slightly smaller. So experiment with what you want and what you like. But the chipboard, you know, I get it out of a cereal box or at the back of a paper pad, so it's not like it's expensive. So once I figure out where I want to put it, I just kind of hold it and see if that is the right size for that spine. And see how perfect that is? I measured it at 1.5 centimeters and then I cut it slightly smaller and it's actually perfect. Problem is if you make it a little bit big, sometimes it'll fold and it will act funny. So I always try to make it just slightly smaller. So like instead of mine was at 1.5 centimeters, I did 1.25 centimeters. So just slightly smaller. And then just take your glue and then just run it down the edge of that chipboard. Okay. You can decide if you want to make that chipboard all the way to the end or smaller. It's up to you. But I made mine to the end there. See? And then I can take my scissors and just snip the end of it off, the excess off. Now you could just measure it and trim it up so you don't have to use your scissors for this part. You can use your paper trimmer as well. But sometimes they go a little bit fast, and when I'm working with these I don't like to take a lot of time to do this part. Okay, so there we go. And what this does, this chipboard, what it does is it reinforces or provides a space for your eyelets to hold on. If you don't put it on there, your eyelets will eventually come right out, because this binding is really a piece of very thin chipboard. Actually, it's not even chipboard. The binding is just like a couple pieces of paper here in the spine. So yeah, it'll that eyelet will come right out. So then what you want to do is you want to take your duct tape, and if you can do one piece, that is great. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this at one piece. And I just place it down, and then I just trim it up. So you could trim it up with your X-Acto knife, or your scissors will work. However, and I trim it up to the edge. If you want to be precise, you can get your X-Acto knife out and like just trim up really close to the edge. So I'd have to get this, let me get this self-healing mat out. If you want to be precise, just get your X-Acto knife out and just trim it right on the edge. But what's great is like this book is like literally falling apart, like, you know, all bent up and crooked and broken, but we're going to be using it for something, and it's going to have new life. And instead of throwing away these old books and them seeing the landfill, I'd rather make these little journals or journal holders out of them. So you can see I have it pretty well, it's pretty well stable. So that is really what it looks like right now. Pretty good, huh? Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you want to add your eyelets. Now, of course, you could sit there and let this dry. It's a yes, let it dry if you want to. I'm not going to, because I want to get this video done for you. Okay, so you just want like 2 eyelets, and see, you need the eyelets, when you're positioning your eyelets, you need them to be in the small part of the spine. So not out here, not over here, but in the small part of the spine. So for me, in that 1.5 centimeter width, like that's where they have to be. But see this one, if I position it like that, both my eyelets are like right next to each other, and that's not going to work out very well. So what I will do is I will do one on top and one on the bottom. So I'll position my eyelets like this. Okay. Normally what I like is I like my eyelets to be next to each other, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, however many I have enough for however much space I have for the eyelets, I will add them. So if you were doing this hymnal that I did, you could do 2 eyelets. And I was really rambunctious and actually ended up doing 3. But 3 was really tight for this. So I would have recommended, if I was doing this to teach people, just 2 on that one. Next to each other would be fine. Of course, if you have a wider spine, you can add more eyelets. You just don't want those eyelets touching each other like that, because eventually that's just going to rip out of your book. It's just not, you know, because you'll be pulling things in and out of these journals that you don't really want to have any place where the eyelets could come out, or not have enough to hold on to, essentially. So if you have a wide journal, so this one, let me tell you how big this one is. If I can find my ruler, here it is. So this spine is almost 3 centimeters wide. So if it's 3 centimeters wide, you can use 2, you can even use the 3rd. But for one that is 1.5 centimeters wide, you can only do 1 in the middle and then 1 right below it. So about like this. So those are where those will go, and this will go here at the bottom. Okay. Now I want to position my eyelet so that I can fit my journal in there. So one's going to have to go up there, and the other's going to have to go right about here. You see why I want to do this? Because otherwise I have to cut my journal up, and I don't want to cut it this way. I want it to fit. So the journal is definitely going to be able to fit on these outside eyelets. On the inside eyelet, it probably will not be able to fit, but that's okay, because the inside eyelet I can use for like a folder or something. No, like a smaller journal that maybe I put my ephemera in or something. So let's do that. And I'm going to place this in the center. So at 1.5 centimeters, my center is going to be at 0.75. So I'm just going to measure. It's hard for you to see this on camera, but I do want you to see what I'm doing. So basically I'm measuring in the middle of the spine. Might be easier if I brought this up to you so you can see that a little bit better. So my spine is up 1 3/4 centimeters, so I'm going to basically mark this one out at about 0.75. So it's like right in the middle of the book. And you could eyeball this too. You don't have to. Honestly, if I wasn't doing this on camera, I would just eyeball it. And that's about 0.75. Sometimes it's just easier to eyeball it than it is to go get a ruler out. Okay. So the first one I want to punch in is the main eyelet at the top. So I'm going to use a 3/16 punch for my eyelets. Now you may be using smaller eyelets. If you are using smaller eyelets, that's fine. You use the 1/8 hole. But I'm going to use the 3/16 hole. And I'm punching in at approximately, for this one, I don't know if that's where I wanted to put it. Let me just double check. So I'm going to punch one right here, and that's going to be the inside one. And then I'll come and do the outside one in just a moment. So I'm going to punch the inside one. And actually that was the outside one. Okay, that was the outside one because that was lining up pretty good. I don't think that I can do another one this close to the edge. It's just so close to the edge. I don't know if I want to do that. Let me punch the second one in on this side. So this one I need to let go a little bit. And I would really like to do one on the edge, but I just don't think it's going to work. I think it's just too flimsy right here. So if you can, the idea would be to get yours as close to the edge as you can, but in a space where it's going to be reinforced. But you see how flimsy this is because it's all broken? This book is so broken. So I'm going to go ahead and just go inside of it. And we'll make it work. So one there and one there. And I just go right up from the previous hole, and I just use my measurements on the side here. This one's pushed all the way back, and before it was, the measurement guide was halfway. So for those of you who want to know the specifics, this is about 1/2 inch actually. So 1/2 inch and then inch in. So this was punched in at 1/2. The next one's going to be punched in at 1. And I'm just going to go right above the other one. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my eyelets. So I'm going to go ahead and put one in here. One. And I'm going to set the one on the inside first. When you're setting an eyelet, there's always at least mine has a little picture that shows me how the eyelet should be going, and then the base is where the flat part of the eyelet goes. So the top goes where this little, I don't know, knob is, and then the base is where the bottom goes. So I just have to always look at that picture because sometimes I forget. And then you just want to press that down and do the second one in just like so. Okay. And you can see my eyelets have a really nice place to grab, so they're not going to come out anytime soon. So that was a nice setup there. Okay, so now I'm going to press this one down, and I'm going to set this one. And I'm going to do one more here. All right. And the next thing I'm going to do is thread this ribbon in. And I actually want to do the white. So what I do is I do 2 times the length of the book. 1, 2-ish. And I cut that cord up like that, okay? So then I start from the inside, and I go from the inside in through the inside, the second one, so the bottom one, then out through the top one, like this. Come on, there we go. Okay? And I do the same thing on this side. In through the bottom one, up through the top one. Okay? So that gives you a nice string right here in the middle for the smaller book or smaller, you know, ephemera holder. And then I tie a knot on this one. So I do tie it a little bit tight, but I leave a little bit of flexibility. So don't tie it too tight. You need to have a little bit of give. So that's what I leave, a little bit of give. And then I tie a nice little knot until I can't tie it up again. So a couple times. There. It's not going nowhere now. So just make sure the knot's not going to go anywhere. Okay, so there is that, and you can see now I can take my art journal and I'll use this one here that was the big one, right? And my art journal will fit perfect in there, right? Okay, and let's see if I can fit another one in there. See if I have another one. It may be too small, but we'll see. Let's just give it a try. It might work. Yeah, looks like it's going to work just fine. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so now I have 2 that can fit in there. Great. One thing that you might want to do if you want to add more and more, you can add additional ribbon. So you can come in and add more of these. So like I could come in here and do multiple. I could come and do 2 more, let's say. And I'll actually do that because this will give you a chance if you missed anything in the last one to do it again. So 1, 2. It really just depends on how big your eyelets are as to if you're going to be able to get an additional piece of cording in there. But if you stay till the end, I'll show you how you can weave, if you just have 2, how you can add more than 2 books. So I will do that in just a minute before we end the video. Alright, so again, I go from the inside at the small, this little one first, and then I go to the outside. So if you have big eyelets like I have and small cording, you can do this with multiple pieces of cording. I guess how many you can fit in the hole. Do you guys, have you guys done this before? I'm curious to know if you've made these little covers for your art journals yet. You might even have done this for some junk journaling or even traveler's notebook, maybe. But you can see how easy it is to do this. Okay. And I usually triple knot, but you don't have to. I just do. Okay. So now I have places for 4 notebooks. I can add 4 in there. Do I have 4? Here's another one. I only have 3 made, but you can see I just put all of them in there. 1, 2, 3. You see how quick and easy this is? I'm really glad that they all fit nicely in here. So now I have a nice little cover for my art journals. Okay. Now the next thing I want to do, did I put them in wrong? I put them in upside down. That's okay. It happens. Let's put it in the right way. There, now it's all the right way. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to add my little knob And so I'm going to add my knob in the center. So to add my knob in the center, I have to know where the center is of this book. So I just use a T-ruler to kind of hook it to the edge of the book, but you don't have to. You can use a regular ruler, it's totally okay. And this is about 10¼ inches, so I'm at 5 1/8. So right about here, okay? So you just want to mark that in the center of your book on both sides. Okay. And then you're going to take your eyelet setter thing, crocodile if you have one like me. And I'm going to go, I don't know, if you guys have a really good way to get the chipboard out of the hole besides using my X-Acto knife, please let me know. I would be forever grateful. Okay, so I'm going to just move, whoops, I moved my guide and the screw came out, so I better fix that. Okay, so I think my guide needs to be at, I want to put this, let's see, close to the edge as possible, but maybe a 1/4 inch. Let's try that, 1/4 inch. I think that'll be fine. Okay, hopefully. And then I can set my eyelet there. And it's just the same process that I was using to set eyelets on the other side of this book. Okay. So then I come on this side, and I don't know if this is the right size. Yeah, I can actually use the smaller hole for this one instead of the great big one. So I'll use the smaller hole, and I was at a 1/4 inch, so I want to make sure that I move that guide a 1/4 inch. Do you guys use the guides on your tools? I do, because it really helps me to know how far in to go. Okay. Alright, so for this one, it's really easy. I just take the little screw and I push it through the back of here. So here's the little screw part right there. And then I take the knob, and while I'm holding the screw down, I place the knob on there and I screw it down, just like that. You can glue the knob as well if you want to. You could glue it on to, you could basically, what you would do is you would take some glue and put it on the threads of the screw and then twist, but I never do. I just screw it in and it seems to work just fine. So there it is. Alright, so now the last thing I want to do is just add my little bookends here, and to do that I'm going to come over here. I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the ends of my book, just a little bit, not a lot. And I'm going to take my little bookends and I'm going to fit it in there. Oops, a little bit of excess glue squeezed out, so see if I can't capture that. Okay, so now that I have this placed, I have a little bit of glue on it and I have it placed where I want it, I just have to come in with my pliers or anything that you have and just flatten them out. See, just like that. I do realize that I've been turning this book a bit, but it's hard to just keep the book one way and do this. So hope I haven't made you too dizzy. Alright, so I'm going to do a little bit of glue on the edge there, and the glue isn't really necessary. I just prefer to add it. Okay. So push it down. Oops. You see here how I don't have this all the way pushed in, so I have to pull that out, tuck that page back in. So just be careful whenever you're doing this. Make sure that everything is tucked in before you come down and get that pressed in. Like so. Cool. That looks good. Okay, let's do 2 more. One more time. One more time. This time I think I'll do the glue on the corner of the book this time. That might be better. Then it won't squeeze out. hopefully it won't squeeze out of the front. And I need to tuck this in. This book end is so damaged that I gotta actually tuck it in. It doesn't want to go in, but there we go. That'll work. And I'm gonna hold it in place, and I'm just gonna press down using my pliers to get it to be secure. And again, I'm not like the expert bookmaker, so if you have tips for me, I always love to hear them. Okay, so put your glue on the end of the corner here, like so. And then place the little corner in there. Boy, this one is really bad. Okay, phew, got it in there, okay. And then we're gonna press it down. 1, 2. All right, and now that's not going anywhere. And that glue is just gonna help it to stay secure over time. But I really like it. The last thing you might wanna do is just add some elastic. Grab the cording, or any kind of lace will work really nice as well. Just tie this like a little knot on the end of this, like so. Just that extra cording, okay? And then just feed the top of that loop through the hole. Like so. And now you have it. Now you have a little loop to close your book. And if your book is real thin, just wrap it around and make the loop a little bit smaller. Oop. This should do it, guys. Through the hole, through the other hole, like this. Okay, now, oh yay, it works. So that is how you would do that. But yeah, you could use some ribbon like I used in here, where the ribbon is, you can just wrap that ribbon around, or you can take the ribbon and tie it. If you want to, instead of using a knob, you could use an eyelet. In fact, an eyelet might be nicer because if you are laying these next to each other, putting books on top of each other, you're not going to have the little knob poking out. So it's entirely up to you what you want to do. Okay, so the last tip I want to give you is, let's say you only have a certain amount of elastics, but you want to have more than one book in the elastic. You want to have more than one book per elastic. So basically what you do is you take your cord and you put two books together like this. I'll just use a headband that I have here. And you can put two books together like this. But you can use the headbands, or you can, I think it would be better to use the thin cords. Okay, so now I have two books put together. Okay, and then you take the end of the last book and feed it through one of the cords. So now you can fit, so this one is 2, right? So I could fit 2, 4, 6, 8. And you can continue to do that and fit multiple books in there without needing to have a bunch of these extra cords in the middle. So that's just a tip for you. Again, let me repeat that so you see it one more time. So step 1, take your two pieces of art journal, both your art journals, okay, and you place them together, okay, and then add your headband there on the side here. So now these two are put together, and then place this part in the book like so. And you can continue to do that on and on and on until you have like a ton of journals in one little book. So if you have questions, please put them in the comments. I'm happy to answer them for you. You have a wonderful day. Goodbye.